afraid everything will change. You and I jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die. So come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. We're rising, we're falling, we're making through. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Something's gonna bring the change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to.
Hello guys and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Roundtable with me, your host Simon Conboy. With me today as always we got Arnie.
Hi guys.
And we got Dan.
Oh, hi.
So another fairly strange week, some bad games, I think it's safe to say.
Yes.
But the week started off right, one of the best games of the year. Chiefs Raiders, I think we all enjoyed that, right?
Apart from having the Murray Cooper on my bench in my fantasy, yeah.
Now it worked out okay in the end.
Yeah. I think most people did though.
Yeah, probably. So, as always, we're going to go through all of the games for next week, give a brief little bit of discussion about how the games went last week, and we'll start with the news of the week and the key injuries. And for me, we'll start with the biggest one. I say for me, like it's some kind of glorious insight. Jason Peters out for the season, the Eagles left tackle. I think this is a huge blow to that team. They've probably been the class of the NFL so far, but losing a top 5 left tackle, that's going to hurt this team. What do you guys think of this development?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles were playing really well. The protection hasn't completely held up for them. So having this injury is really going to affect that O-line play now. And going forward, I think they're struggling a little bit, but I think Wentz can still pull it out. I mean, you saw the game where he was under, who we all thought he was getting sacked on that one play, and somehow he's 10 yards down the field. I don't understand how that happened, but it's huge. It's huge.
He's far more elusive than people were going to think. What do you think of this one, Quinch? You've seen as much as anyone how bad losing tackles hurts your team.
That premises that we had a tackle in the first place in Zona. No, I think the issue is obviously the Eagles now know what side of the ball the defense is going to start playing them from. So we're going to see a lot of pressures on Wentz now, and he's going to have to pull out more silly, elusive stunts like he did against Washington. That was sorcery, by the way, what he did.
Yeah.
I'm more amazed the whistle didn't get blown for impeding forward progress.
Yeah, I think I actually was thinking that after the play, like the refs definitely could have called in the grass for that one.
Yeah, I thought that as well. I was just like, but I'm glad they let him play through because it was spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. But wouldn't have begrudged them calling it back too much in terms of it making sense. But I think this team will be fine. It's just the long term, when you're looking at the playoffs, that's when I think you'll notice the impact of this. Because, I mean, it's hard to see the Eagles not making it with the start they've had and the general mess that is the NFC. I say the NFC, the NFL at the minute. Come playoff time, no, that's gonna sting. Another big injury for this team as well. They lost linebacker. Is it Jordan Mills? Jordan Hicks, that's it. I was thinking Mills for some reason. He's out for the rest of the year. The front seven, I think, has been really impressive this year, and it's kind of an unknown linebacker core for the most part. And this is a guy that's been playing really well for them. I don't think it's a game breaker. It's not like the Jason Peters one, which could, hurt the team significantly. But it just weakens the strength of the defensive group a little.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as you said, the front seven has been pretty strong for them as well. So having a middle linebacker go down is always going to hurt.
Yeah, middle linebackers in particular are always tough. What another injury I was sad about this week? Well, the next two I'm pretty sad about. Malik Hooker, one of the few bright spots for the Colts this year.
Yeah, he's been playing really well. I mean, just going back from like the Tennessee game, he was getting a bit lost in coverage and stuff like that. But for the rest, I think that was probably his worst game of the year. But the rest of the games he's been playing, he's been an absolute ball hawk. He's been everywhere on the field. He's been playing great.
Yeah,
he's getting coverage. So
it always sucks to see the guys having great rookie seasons go down with pretty significant injuries. You just hope it won't affect him next year. What else did we have? Oh yeah, Joe Thomas.
Yeah, it was a nasty looking one.
Yeah, he's out for the year. Yeah. His incredible snap streak, having never missed a snap in the NFL.
Right, killed his own.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's one of the few reasons to watch the Browns on a yearly basis, to watch the gold standard of the modern left tackle.
Yeah, but I mean,
now we don't have that.
I mean, going back to what Grim said about Jason Peters attacking that side more, I mean, with the Browns, you saw Tennessee do that in the game, and we were starting to get more. The defense really came together once Joe Thomas went out, because we weren't getting pressure on him all game, and then as soon as Joe Thomas went out, we really attacked that side of the line, and we were getting a lot of pressure.
Yeah, the thing with Thomas is like he's the kind of player, and it's similar with Peters, where he's of such a high standard that you just figure, do the best you can. Yes, that's all you can say to the guy going up against him. So anything you might get in this game is a bonus, but you can't count on getting big plays against those guys. Like Joe Thomas's career numbers are just ridiculous. Not that people look at tackle numbers, but I mean they're on another level. Like, there's often a debate about who the best player at any position is. Joe Thomas for the last decade has been the best left tackle in the league as a pass protector. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So yeah, it's a shame he's gone down. Also, one of the best kickers in the league going down for the Cowboys. Normally I wouldn't mention this, but he is a really damn good kicker. And the Cowboys haven't been overpowering this year, having a slightly iffy kicker situation. I know as much about that as anyone. This could end up being really significant over the course of the season.
Yeah, it would. I mean, they're a team that has been kind of similar to the Titans in the fact of we're kicking a lot of field goals. Having that reliable kicker like we've got with Suckup. I mean, well, we won our game because of Suckup this week. So losing their kicker when they're relying on him that much in the game is still quite big.
It is quite big. You've got to bear in mind, this is the most accurate kicker in NFL history.
Yeah. So
it's a downgrade. You're almost guaranteed it's going to be a downgrade. If it costs them, the Cowboys are 3-3 now. If it costs them one game, that could end up being hugely significant.
And didn't they use their safety in the game?
They did.
It was awesome.
I don't know if anyone's seen the Pat McAfee. He was criticising his safety for his technique on the kicks. It was hilarious. I recommend watching that video if you guys haven't seen it.
I might check that out. One final injury. I think, if anything, we've been fairly critical of the Cardinals this year. This is the final nail in that coffin for this season.
Oh, they are done.
Yeah. Yeah, they were in this game until Carson Palmer went down. Because what was it, 6-0?
Yeah.
And then he breaks his arm and it all falls apart. Dan, you're the Cardinals fan here. What do you think of this injury?
Go away, I'm going to go cry in the corner.
You better be hoping for that number one pick now.
No, we're not going to get it.
Too many games for that.
Yeah, they're not going to get it, but they're going to be going quarterback.
I've been saying since week 2, the Cardinals' best hope is to trade with the Colts for Brissett.
Well, it's a very top-heavy QB class in theory heading into next year's draft. So we've been saying for years the Cardinals need to find a predecessor, especially considering Palmer's been flirting with retirement, and this could well be the final straw.
Can we also point out, this isn't just the end of the Cardinals season. This is probably going to be the end of Palmer's career now, because he's had two major injuries since he's been in zone. He had that aggravation of the ACL, not last season, season before, and now he's broken his arm. I think he retires, which questions up in the air for Fitzgerald. But...
And Arians. Those rumours.
No, Arians has already come out. I saw it today. It was only about an hour ago. Arians has already come out. Says this talk of retirement is nonsense.
The question for me, it's not necessarily about retirement. It's does, and we'll go a bit off topic and we'll talk about the Cardinals long term here because I think it's relevant to this injury. Does he want to go for a rebuild? Because I think we're all in agreement that the Cardinals are a team with a lot of big holes that they're not going to, bar a crazy free agency splurge and finding something at quarterback for the near future, they're probably going to have to go for a rebuild.
Well, at this point,
he's going to go through that at his age.
Well, at this point, he'll have no choice. He's still got a year left on his contract. So
a lot of teams don't like having the proverbial lame duck head coach though, with the 1 year on their deal.
No,
generally,
Arians doesn't strike me as that type of coach.
It's not so much that, it's the way it generally will work. Assuming this season continues to go poorly, the Cardinals would want a commitment from Arians, like an extension, rather than have him play out that last year. Otherwise, they consider firing him. Or they possibly let him ride it out as a lame duck coach, but a lot of teams just don't like to do it. It cast doubt over the whole organisation because you've got players wondering if he's going to be there next year. It's one of those, and it's not a question of whether he's a good enough coach or any of that. It's just whether he wants to go for a rebuild.
I reckon he will. To be honest with you, health issues notwithstanding, of course, Arians has had a couple. So
yeah. Well, you will at that age. It's going to be an interesting thing, and I think certainly going to follow this one because I don't think it's the last we're going to hear about it at all. Is there anything else anyone wants to mention in this new segment?
Injury-wise, I haven't really seen any. I know Andrew Luck re-aggravated his injury, still not practicing. I think they're just going to, again, seat him. We seem to every week have a little segment on Andrew Luck's return. Yeah. Well, it's starting to look more and more doubtful of this year is happening.
That and this team just looks awful. This weekend was as bad as they've been. So, yeah, I think that may be that. Anything you want to mention, Dan?
No.
Cool. Well, we'll move on to... We've had some pretty good Thursday games on paper the last few weeks. I'm not sure we're excited by this one. So we've got the Miami Dolphins, finally with Matt Moore at quarterback, heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. And Dolphins had a good win this week, coming back to beat the Jets. And let's face it, we've got to give this Jets team, we've got to look at, they're a respectable NFL franchise this year. They're not a pushover like everyone expected.
No, I mean, the Jets defense has been playing really well. I mean, we spoke about this before.
Even the offense. Josh McCown's looked like a legitimate quarterback this year.
Yeah.
So, Dolphins deserve credit. That's another good comeback win for them. I don't think they're a great team, but a good win. The Ravens just looked... I mean, it's more of the same for the Ravens in terms of the offense. It's a mess. Defensively... they struggled. I mean, they got gashed by Latavius Murray. Who saw that one coming? So I'm really concerned. I think this Ravens team is pretty bad.
Yeah, they've just, they're relying. They seem to be relying heavily on their front seven. Terrell Suggs still showing that he's still got a lot in the bank, but there's still not a lot there with that Ravens team. They're still
be able to score some points.
Yeah. I mean,
how many offensive touchdowns have the Ravens scored this year? Because it's less than 10.
Yeah,
they've been woeful, and I don't even put the blame on Flacco. It's just they've got a load of injuries. I mean, I think this week Rashad Perriman and not Wallace. Yeah, Wallace. I think Perriman and Wallace are both in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
So who have they got? It's bad. I mean, for that reason, I've got the Dolphins winning this one. The Dolphins' defense is playing really well. The Ravens' offense is a mess. And I think with Matt Moore on the field, the Dolphins are probably a better team. And they've been finding ways to win this year. I mean, they've not looked impressive, but they've managed to.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Moore gave them a real spark.
Yeah, they look.
That offense. The thing is, the locker room seems to be more behind him than with Cutler. So
I see what you did there. I don't know if you even realise that you did it.
No, I didn't realise.
The locker room's more with him.
Oh.
Seriously.
I've got the Dolphins winning this one comfortably in a bit of a Thursday snoozer.
Yeah. The thing is, we've had some good Thursday night games, but I think we finally got ourselves a snoozer.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
Dan, any contrasting opinions?
No, I'm actually.
We know how much you dislike this Ravens team.
Huh?
We know how much you dislike this Ravens team in particular.
It's because they're terrible. I don't like terrible teams, even though I support one. Although, to be honest with you, I've got Miami taking this game. Although I'm more surprised when I'm looking at the schedule. I'm like, wait, Miami are 4-2.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They haven't looked good, but they've found ways to win these games.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm pleased Matt Moore's in though. Hopefully Jay Cutler stays injured, although he probably will.
It's
you hear the cheers he got when he went off injured.
He said he cracked his ribs. He just went out behind the bike shed for a smoke. So
Jay Cutler's loss is the NFL meme world's biggest loss.
Yeah.
The Dolphins game in all likelihood.
Well, the unfortunate thing for the Dolphins is it turns out he's not a season-ending injury.
All Moore has to do is play better than Cutler did to keep that job, and I don't think that
he's already done that.
Yeah, he's already done that.
He's done that in a half of football.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on to another Twickenham game, and this one's. We had a shutout last week.
Yeah, probably.
We might get another one. As the Vikings and their super legitimate, awesome defense of greatness takes on the Browns.
Deshaun Kaiser and the Cleveland Browns. I mean, if they could only put up 9 points on Tennessee, they ain't putting up a point on Minnesota.
Yeah, this Vikings team has been really impressive. The defense has been exactly what I expected.
Yeah, but the thing is, this Minnesota defense, it relies on just stuffing absolutely everything, and it gets turnovers. Yeah. And the things the Browns do the most is throw turnovers. So this is going to be a huge turnover fest by the Browns. I cannot see them winning at all.
Not this one. The Vikings are a well-coached team. Defensively, they've kind of got it all. Yeah. They can rush the passer, they can stuff the run. They've got a great secondary. I mean, they're complete and they're playing that way. And offensively, they're not impressive, but they're good enough.
Did they lose one of their safeties last week from injury? Did they get an injury in their secondary?
Sendejo, I think, is suspended, but Smith's fine. As long as they got Harrison Smith, they're fine. He's like the key cog to that defense, as we saw last year. Whereas the Browns, I mean, it was a reasonable performance from them, other than the quarterback position. Frankly, defensively, they played well. I think part of it was the Titans not playing well, but you can't say the Browns' defense did anything wrong in that game.
No, defensively they did play really well. I was quite actually shocked by that.
Well, Myles Garrett's been a big boost for them. He actually gives them a threat now.
Yeah, it does. I mean, he did get handled fairly well in that game by the one, but it was kind of to be expected in a way. But he still got himself a sack. But yeah, the defense played really well in the game. The offense, again, non-existent, just like the Titans in that game. So,
I've got to toot one thing on the Browns before we go to the inevitable winner of this game, because I don't think it's been mentioned by myself, surprisingly. This Browns team should have done what I said at the start of the year and went with Cody Kessler rather than throwing rookies out there.
Yeah, Cody Kessler gave him more of a spark in that game. If I'm completely honest with you, in that game, I thought the Browns played the better football in that game. I feel like the Browns should have actually won that game.
That's a legitimate argument, but I'm guessing we're all on the Vikings long ship for this one.
Absolutely.
Complete
Yeah.
blow.
If we did locks of the week, this would be mine.
Oh yeah.
So next up, a game that's way more competitive than anyone would have thought. The NFC champion Falcons head into New York to take on, New Jersey to take on the Jets. Falcons, again, just a really disappointing offensive performance.
Yeah, they're looking really weak offensively right now.
They were able to move the ball, but there was some... It feels like a team that did some of the things they did, going for it on some of those fourth downs. Matt Bryant missing field goals is a new one. That's something I'm not used to. But it just feels like a team that's like looking for a spark at this point. And that was it's just not happened for them this year offensively. And defensively they're okay, but they're not much more than that. The Jets, however, what a shock. They actually look like a competent NFL franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Josh McCown's playing some good football. The defense is playing well. That Buster Screen's having a good year.
Yeah.
Really good year.
That rookie safety pairing looking good.
Yeah. I mean, Jamal Adams, we always knew was going to be a lock pick anyway. So
yeah, he's as good as expected. So how do we see this one going? Do you think the Falcons get off the schneid in this one, or?
I still think Atlanta will win this one. I don't know whether it'll be comfortably or not, because the Jets have managed to bring teams to their level this year. Look what they did to the New England Patriots. So I do think it will be a close game, but I think Atlanta still has, you'd expect, the more of the talent there.
They should, yeah. I mean, on paper, this is a thoroughly lopsided game, but you turn on the film and you wouldn't know that.
No. I think it'll be a close game, but I think Atlanta they've got too many weapons there.
They need it pretty bad. Dan, how do you see this one going?
I reckon the Jets will sneak this one, to be honest. Atlanta have been like one of the most disappointing teams going into the season.
Oh, without that.
The crazy thing is, it's not even remotely controversial for you to say that the Jets might win this.
It's not, no.
No, it's reasonable. I mean, who'd have thought we'd be saying that McCown is currently playing at a higher level than the reigning MVP?
Yeah, crazy.
It's crazy. I'm going to go Jets. They're just at home. I think they're playing really well at the minute. I just think this Falcons Super Bowl hangover just continues. They've not impressed me, and I just feel like the Jets are going to come out and just play really hard. I think, especially after the way that game went on Monday, I can see the Falcons just having a letdown performance. But it could go either way for sure. We'll stick within the NFC South for the next one. I think it's only the second divisional game that's happened so far this year, as the Panthers head to Tampa to take on the Bucks. Both of these teams suffering disappointing losses for different reasons. The Panthers were woeful against the Bears. I mean, that offense was just awful. Have you watched this game, you guys?
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, the thing is as well, the Bears' offense was no better. I mean,
no, you got to see an NFL quarterback win the game throwing 7 passes.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that just shows that game was won off the turnovers.
It was. I mean, in terms of offensive points, it was 3-3.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you wouldn't expect that from a team that, not last week, because last week they played bad as well, but the beginning few games of the year, they were playing good football on offense.
Well, no, you've got to remember those first couple of games, the Carolina offense was not
Briscoe's
good.
Musings week.
Then Cam
Then
had
we
those
got it
2
together.
games, and now he's kind of reverted back. I mean, I don't put a lot of it on Cam. Their offensive line is a mess. Ryan Khalil's been hurt for most of the year, and when he's missing, they just look far worse. He's going to be out for this game, it looks like. Trey Turner as well, their best guard, is going to be missing. They're awful at tackle. They're not particularly explosive in the receiving game. They can't run the ball at all. And for me, the key here is if Kuechly's missing, this team is not the same. Particularly when you're looking at the Buccaneers' offense with the tight ends. And finally, after weeks of me moaning about it, they finally utilised both of the tight ends in this game against the Bills at the weekend. And the Bucs' offense, the passing side of things, looked much better. This was what I was expecting heading into the year. In the second half, they were pretty devastating against the Bills.
Yeah, I think you guys just kind of shot yourselves in the foot towards the end of it. But,
oh yeah,
I love watching OJ Howard. I think he had himself a really nice game. Cameron Brate's been solid for you since he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think
you could argue Brate's one of the top few tight ends in the league as a receiver at this stage. Like
he actually is statistically.
It's not even just statistically. I mean, you watch the games, like the catches he makes, the routes that he runs. He's turned into a really good player.
Although, speaking to the opposite side of Carolina here, is it me or does the team seem to be, since their Super Bowl run, just seem to be decaying? It's a shell of what it was.
Well, I mean, they've not done enough to fix that offensive line. That's still a problem. McCaffrey isn't the style of runner they've had when they've been traditionally successful. And frankly, it wouldn't matter anyway because the offensive line is so poor. Like this, they can't run at all. They're averaging about 2 yards a carry from the running backs. That's atrocious. Defensively, they're pretty good. And if they are going to win this game, it'll probably come down to turnovers because I just can't see this Panthers team scoring points as bad as the Bucs defense has looked in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Just when your offensive line is performing at that level. I mean, Cam Newton got hit 16 times against the Bears. That's absurd. There are quarterbacks that go a month without getting hit that much. And, I thought the Bucs showed a little bit at the weekend that I just think that they'll have enough to get points. If Kuechly is missing, I think those tight ends can both be a big factor in the game. I don't think the Panthers are great at corner. It will come down to the Panthers' pass rush, frankly. But if the Bucs can protect Winston, I think they win this game.
My only concern with the Bucs, I think you guys will win this game, but my only concern has been your defense. I just think the play calling on your defensive side hasn't been great. You've been gashed on big plays. You played fairly consistent for the most of the games, but you're giving up big
silly plays.
You're giving up stupid plays. I mean, you even said yourself about the zone runs and stuff like that. You're giving up that you shouldn't be. It's plays that you don't expect a defense.
I mentioned this yesterday. It's the thing that's so frustrating watching is it's fundamental stuff. It's like at the weekend tackling. The Bucs were terrible at tackling. Quan Alexander,
the team that has this much talent on shouldn't be making these fundamental mistakes.
I know. Struggling with contain is crazy. Dan, who have you got in this one?
This is really difficult to choose because I'd like to say the Bucs, but the problem is you guys start off so cold and just doing nothing that could be enough for the Panthers to eke out like 2 field goals and then maybe hold you for a bit. I don't know. This is a dodgy one because in theory Tampa are the better team at the moment as far as I'm concerned, but it's the cold starts, man. And if Jameis starts cold again, you're gonna struggle with this. So I'm gonna wait. Hold on, where are you? Are you at home or you are?
Where?
I'm gonna provisionally say Tampa, although I'm not convinced, to be honest.
I'm not convinced. Both of these both look like bad football teams.
Oh yes.
So who knows? I think we got another stinker coming up. The Niners heading to Philly to take on the Eagles.
Wait, hold on. Let's get something straight here. By the way, FYI, in case anyone's listening, beating down on the Niners does not mean your offense and defense are having a renaissance. It's the Niners.
I know.
So the Dallas fans and the NFL analysts who are saying, "Oh, Dallas, they're back to form." Like they beat up the Niners. They're 0-6 for a reason, guys. This is going to be equally one-sided, by the way. Wentz is just going to come out, throw 40, job done.
I think the Eagles will kill them. Yeah. That Niners game was worrying last week because they've been close in a lot of these games, but they just got handled from start to finish.
The thing is, though, is I feel really sorry for.
Case of starting to give up.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, your boy's
got
GM now, isn't he?
John Lynch. Yeah, but they know what that job is.
Yeah, no, but I mean, the thing is though, when you look at San Francisco on paper, I do feel sorry for them because they've got some good talent on that team. It's just not coming together, and they've actually played it more competitive than you'd expect an 0-17 to have.
Well, you say that the thing is that talent's all on the one side. Like defensively, they've done a nice job building up, stockpiling young talent the last few years, but the offense. I mean, you look at that offense, and it's one of the least talented groups in the league. I mean, you've got a good tackle in Joe Staley. Pierre Garçon is your one legitimate receiver. And Carlos Hyde, who they don't even seem to be a big fan of.
Well, I think at this point, if you're San Francisco, you're just mortgaging the season now. I mean, you've got quite a few picks from the last draft.
They might have Kirk Cousins next year. Who knows?
That would be interesting. I mean, I'd rather. Well, I think if Cousins isn't still in Washington, which would be weird, because I don't know why.
It would be insane if Washington let him go.
Yeah.
It really would.
But
as for the Eagles, though, they looked impressive.
Yeah, I really like the Eagles. I mean, we touched on it earlier. Front seven's been great. The offense is really, really clicking.
Yeah, is looking great this year. Just
who would have guessed Aguilar out of nowhere?
I mean, they were talking about him all preseason, saying that he looked really good, was going to be a real threat coming out of the slot. It's one of the few times that preseason hype's actually turned out to be justified.
Yeah, he's looked great.
I picked up Zach Ertz in fantasy thinking he'll be their number one threat because he's the guy with experience and that Wentz trusts. I didn't see this coming.
Well, I picked up Alshon Jeffrey in fantasy. I thought that was the way they'd go there. And turns out I was wrong, but I ended up dropping him and picking up Aguilar, and hit me there.
So we're all going to jump on the Eagles with this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That was one-sided as the Minnesota game's going to be.
Fair enough. We've got a sneaky good game here. At least for me, I don't know what I quite enjoy the Bears this year. I don't understand it either. We've got them heading to New Orleans to take on the Saints.
Oh, God, this is another one of those weird matchups this year where you've got a decent D versus a good O, and then a terrible O versus a terrible D.
Yeah, I've seen people saying the Saints D's turned it around. I'm not convinced by the Saints. They remind me of, it's the same sort of thing I've had about the Lions all year, where they're winning these games against bad teams. They're not looking entirely convincing doing it, but they're doing enough, and obviously they've got Drew Brees. But I don't feel good about them at this point.
No, the problem the Saints defense has had, and we saw it during the Saints-Lions game, was the bad tackling in this game. The problem they're going to have in this game is obviously we know they line Tarek Cohen up as a wide receiver because of their injuries. I think that Saints defense is really going to struggle to contain Tarek Cohen in this game. I think they're going to struggle to
power runners as well. They've struggled with good power runners over the last few years, and Jordan
Howard as well. So I think the Bears will take this just on the fact of the Saints defense has struggled with those sort of weapons. But again, as we said last week, and the week before that, and the week before that, you can't rule out Drew Brees. But
no, especially at home,
the Bears defense has been good.
I've got the Saints taking this one. I think the Bears will put up a fight and they'll play it tough. I just think their ability to score points against the Saints, the Saints are going to score points at home. And I don't trust this Bears secondary enough to stop Brees. Whilst I think they'll get some pressure and some hits on him, I just think the Saints it'll be close, but I think the Saints will win.
Ooh, I don't know. I think the Bears are going to be very motivated to win this, though, because if they win this,
If they win, they're back in it.
Yeah, they're definitely back in it. I mean, Green Bay's basically, let's face it, they're done. Let's be honest. And Detroit have got a difficult matchup this week, so the Bears have got everything to fight for in this game. New Orleans and the division they're in, really makes no odds.
Yeah, it's a mess at the minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, trying to beat the Saints at home with Drew Brees under centre. Oh man, that's a difficult prospect. Even if even if the offense is a bit anemic on the New Orleans side. I'm going to go for the shocker and say the Bears.
Fair enough. And next up, we've got a game I'm really excited to watch because I like seeing Brady get hit. And he gets to take on the Chargers as they head to Foxborough. I'm glad the Chargers, like me, I've showed faith in them even when they were on forms. Like, this is still a good team.
Came back on the bounce.
They got their little 3-game win streak going. And, you know, they handled the Broncos. They handled them. The Broncos having line problems, so are the Patriots. You do not want to have problems at the tackle position when Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram are coming to town.
No, you don't.
Yeah, those have 16 sacks between them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, we could argue the Patriots are at home, but that has not mattered this season.
No, but
Patriots
in this case, I think it does matter. This is a, you know, as West Coast as you can get going to New England when it's cold at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots' offense has kind of slowed down the last few weeks.
No, but the defense has got better. Over the past 3 games, that defense has got progressively better.
Well, they've simplified it. They've just gone to playing a fairly basic sort of zone-type scheme, and I think it's helped. When you get the communication breakdowns that they were having, you can't really do what Belichick likes to. It's certainly helped, but I still just don't feel like there's much talent there. And the offense, I just feel like this is a bad matchup for the Pats.
Definitely on the offensive for the O-line, yeah. But the thing is, though, if there's one thing Brady's good at...
I've struggled with Melvin Gordon. He's playing really well at the moment. I've got the Chargers taking this one in an upset. I just think Brady's going to be under a ton of heat in this one.
I think they'll do what they always do and adapt to the old very quick throw, you know, short to intermediate offensive game
really
style.
Managed to rely on it this year. They've tried doing that and it still hasn't come through for them.
Yeah, they've been the opposite this year. They've been a deep passing team, the Patriots. They're killing teams.
They've been really using Brandon Cooks.
Although, can we point out the fact that the dude's 40 and there's been no drop off from him?
Oh yeah,
it's insane.
I think this Patriots team, this is as carried by Brady Patriots team as I've seen.
Oh, definitely.
It's not particularly impressive outside of the passing game, but yeah.
I can't ever bet against Brady. I'm sorry, I just can't.
That's understandable. I always have the rule. Normally, I do not bet against Belichick and Brady at home, but hell, I'm fully on this Chargers bandwagon. So
I'm sticking with you on the Chargers bandwagon. I like what I've seen over the last 3 weeks. I've liked what I've seen from them all year, but
I just like watching Bosa and Ingram.
They've been a good team all year. I mean, even the 4 games they lost were close games. I mean, 2 of them were because of their kicker. You know, if you look at it realistically, this should be a team that's sitting at like 5-2 right now.
They could easily be, but their luck seems to have turned. I think this is a sneaky good match. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Next, another one that I'm looking forward to. It's a weird week like that in the AFC. As the Raiders head to Buffalo to take on this is one of the best uniform matchups that the league has, by the way. This is going to look glorious.
You and those bloody Bills uniforms.
Hey, I like the Raiders uniforms too. And who doesn't like the Bills home unis? They're great. But Raiders looked really good last week. Derek Carr was...
Yeah, he's picked up the slack, and obviously Amari Cooper's come back to, what we hope is still form. The running game still hasn't had really a spark to it. I mean, Marshawn Lynch, obviously, he's out for this game. We know that because, he's an idiot. But even then, when he's been in the game, he hasn't proved to be really a factor in the game. The Raiders will rely on this passing game in this game. The O-line has played fairly well. Defensively, they kind of are what we thought they were.
Yeah,
but the Bills' defense looks really good right now. Their offense, you can't rule out Tyrod Taylor. Guys make mistakes.
Well, the thing with the Bills, and that's one of the reasons they won this game, is they just do not make too many mistakes.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor doesn't take many chances. They don't turn the ball over. They don't get penalised that much. And their defence, they give up yards, but it's hard to get in the end zone on them. Because if you look at them statistically, like scoring defence, they're, I think, they probably went down having given up 27, but they were number 1 heading into last week. But yardage-wise, they're kind of middle of the pack. But they just clamp down on teams. Their secondary is one of the top few in football right now. They're getting great play at the safety position. Tre'Davious White's been fantastic. They struggled with Mike Evans and the tight ends at the weekend.
I think they might have the same here. I think they will struggle with Cooper and Jared Cook in this one.
That could be a problem. And those two both were huge last week after disappointing starts to the season. I think this is a really tough one to call. So I'm going to wait and see what you two guys think before I make my decision.
I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think that offense has kicked right back into gear, and I think it's going to have another little nice outing.
Fair dues. Dan?
No, I'm going to go Buffalo. One, the one-off game is still a one-off game. I think, Buffalo have proven themselves time and time again this year. Raiders have been up and down. I've got to take Buffalo in this.
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo as well. Whilst I think last week did show some weaknesses defensively, I still think they're a team that's, unlike most teams who I feel like playing below where they're at. The Bills, I feel, are overachieving, but they're doing it in the right way. They're executing well. They changed things up last week in the run game. That looked like it worked. Obviously, playing the Buccaneers helped. But I just feel like they're going to be able to get a couple of big plays on the defensive side and just squeak this one out. I just trust them more than I trust the Raiders at this point, kind of like Dan does. So I'm going Bills. And I've been on that Bills bandwagon since like week 2. I have a bandwagon. So, yeah, I'm going Bills. Next up, a bit of an ugly one. We've got the Colts, who were just miserable this week. There's nothing more to say about that. That game was a disaster. They lost their most promising young player and didn't really do anything. Their defense is atrocious. And the Bengals, who started the game really well against the Steelers and then just forgot how to play offense again.
Yeah.
It was like the Bengals season in reverse, where they started this game playing the offense like they had for the last few weeks, and then it kind of reverted to the first couple of weeks where they just couldn't do anything right.
Yeah. I mean, that must be a massive concern for them. I think this game is pretty easy to call, though, but...
Yeah, I think so. There's not much reason to spend time. The Colts are awful. The
Bengals have got this one.
Yeah. My worry for the Bengals, though, long term, is that their offense just looks so easy to stop. It feels like if you take away AJ Green or limit AJ Greens. I don't know if you have a
their running game has really struggled this year.
Yeah, their O-line is just bad. So they haven't been able to run it at all, even with what I still think is a great group of backs. And it's just this limiting them too much. Defense is still playing well, though. They're pretty good on that side. So we'll move on to it's crazy. There's only 2 games at 4:00 this week.
Yeah.
Weird. First one could be really interesting. The Texans in Seattle. Let's face it, the Texans are fun to watch on the offense for the first time
in a while. Yeah.
Since
ever.
I don't know, when Matt Schaub was like playing at a borderline Pro Bowl level and Andre Johnson was there and Arian Foster, they were quite fun to watch. I mean, that was a long time ago now. But yeah, Deshaun Watson's made them really fun to watch. It's as legit a test as you can get taking on the Seahawks defense.
Oh, definitely. And also, where we do actually have a transaction update for the Seahawks we didn't cover at the top of the show. They have signed Dwight Freeney in Seattle. I don't know why, but they've signed him.
It's because they lost Cliff Averill for the season.
Ah, okay, that makes a bit more
Lost
sense.
him last week, so they needed... They're still... Yeah, he's not going to play a huge amount because you've still got Bennett and Frank Clark as starters. But we've seen in the last couple of years, Freeney can give you some productivity off the bench.
Everyone knows the best reason to watch Freeney is for the spin.
yeah, you'll get 2 or 3 sacks off that spin move for the rest of the year. So that is a good signing for him. It makes a lot of sense. Dwight Freeney's like old man free agency tour continues. And,
he's gone full on Dion mercenary mode.
Yeah, not quite the same thing in terms of the money, but not dissimilar. What do you guys see happening in this one? Because I'm fascinated by that side of it.
For me, I think Russell Wilson has been playing really well on the offensive side of things recently.
He has. The reason this Seahawks team is winning games.
Yeah, I mean, the O-line is still struggling. Russell Wilson still finding a way to make plays. He's really, I mean, Doug Baldwin's playing out of his mind recently. For me, I see that's where the true X factor comes in, is because I think the Texan secondary does struggle.
Yeah.
And I think Russell Wilson can easily eat apart that secondary. I think Clowney might have a big day on him, and he might, Clowney's big dude. He might get a couple of sacks or so on him. But on the opposite side, I think Watson hasn't seen a defense like this yet. I think he will struggle with Sherman. He will struggle with that secondary. But he's played very well, and the offense has been really fun to watch. But I think this will be their quietest they've been since Deshaun Watson come in.
Yeah,
I see Seattle winning it.
This is the litmus test for where Deshaun Watson's at this point.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
How do you see it going down?
I don't know. I mean, Houston have got those season-ending injuries on the defensive side.
Oh yeah, if JJ Watt and Whitney Merciless are playing, I would say Texans, and I wouldn't even question it.
I mean, this is like the biggest game Watson's ever going to have, because it's not just the Seahawks; it's the Seahawks at home. As an incoming QB, this is going to be rough.
If he has a big game here, watch that hype train go nuts.
Oh yeah, but this is the thing. On one hand, there is the slight potential for Watson to go off on one and start a shootout. But on the other hand, Seahawks D is the Seahawks D.
Yeah, no, I can't see
this
that.
This is difficult. I mean, I'm going to give it to Houston because I like watching the Seahawks lose.
I mean, I can see why you go with Houston just because the Seahawks offense is that bad. But
yeah, there is that as well.
But I can't pick Watson against this Seahawks defense, especially with all the hype around him. I think they're going to be fully motivated. And as much as I've enjoyed Watson, he's been a little bit scattershot, and he makes the odd iffy decision. And I just think the Seahawks will punish him, and Wilson and Baldwin will make enough plays. It might only be 2 or 3 plays, but I think they'll make enough. So I'm going to have the Seahawks win this one. But yeah, certainly going to be interesting. Next up, I guess, is probably the game of the week.
Yeah.
3 Cowboys, the 3-3 Redskins, a classic rivalry. The Redskins at home. Both teams. I mean, the Redskins looked okay in defeat against the Eagles. It's not like they were.
Yeah, Cousins still look good in that game.
Yeah, he's been let down a lot this year, I think, by his weapons.
Well, who is he throwing to? This is the problem.
Well, he's got a banged up Jordan Reed, who just isn't quite the same at this point.
He's always banged up, though.
Yeah, that's true. You've got. I mean, they don't trust Terrell Pryor at all. It's not great. He's playing well, and the O-line's playing well. Defensively, these injuries, I think we saw that, missing Josh Norman, Jonathan Allen, I think had an impact. They need to get healthy. The Cowboys, a really impressive win, but you got to bear in mind it was the Niners. They got up early in that game on a couple of big plays, and it was never really a contest. So I'm not going to look too much into that one. But how do we see this one going?
The problem, the issue you've got, Josh Norman's out. You've got Dez being able to do whatever he wants.
And you say that Dez hasn't been a huge impact player these last couple of years.
No, true, but he's still a bigger threat as he always is. So I don't know. This is difficult because Dallas. I think Washington's the better team, but Dallas is more players not injured at this point.
You still have to worry about that Cowboy secondary.
Yeah, the secondary's garbage.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Cowboys' pass rush has been great all year, but the Redskins' O-line.
Thanks to DeMarcus Lawrence. Yeah. But
Yeah.
they're not going to get any pressure on this Redskins team, and I think that's where they've been working in their wins, is getting the pressure on the teams and forcing the ball out that way. Whereas in this game, they're not going to be able to stick to their normal game plan on defense. So
No, plus I think the
Can you see
Redskins.
this Redskins defense dealing with Ezekiel Elliott?
Yeah,
no,
I think they will deal with them. Although, I mean, I'll say this: I think Washington are a team that shouldn't be at 3-3. They should be at least 4-2. But no receivers does that to a team. The record, I don't think the record shows how well the team's actually played in spite of the receiver.
This is a really tough one. I've got the Redskins. I just think they're a better all-round team, and I think the offensive line will allow them to have enough success to win this one.
yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think even though the Redskins D is beat up, I think they're going to come after Zeke and try and contain him as much as they can. I still think Zeke will have a 100-yard day. I still think he'll have a big day. The Cowboys O-line is still playing well. Well, fairly well. Not as good as last year, but we obviously know them that before.
Dak Prescott's playing well.
Yeah, but if they try and slow down Zeke and put the ball into Prescott's hands, I think we've seen that when teams have done that, Prescott's made mistakes. But I see the Redskins winning as well.
Dan, you're going to get off the fence.
Oh, not really on the fence. As far as I'm concerned, Washington should win. But, I mean, injuries and, they're throwing to basically nobody's. So, I will say Washington. I think they are the better team.
Fair enough. Moving on to the Sunday night game. We got the Steelers heading to Detroit to take on the Lions. Steelers, pretty impressive win. Played really well defensively again. The offense, it still feels like it's Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and not much else. But
And is that ever not going to be the case?
But those two are kind of so good that it kind of works.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfair. They've got the best running back and the best wide receiver in football with one of the top 5 quarterbacks. It's just wrong. It's cheating.
Roethlisberger's not playing like a top 5 quarterback, but
No, he's not now.
At all. But I think for the region of Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and how bad this Lions defense has been, that alone wins them the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions, I've made it very clear I'm not a believer in this team.
And the offense hasn't played well, and the Steelers' defense has shut down some good offenses recently.
Yeah, I can't see Stab having a huge amount of success. And the Haloti Ngata injury, I think, was really big.
Yeah.
The Lions have been playing the run pretty well, and I think he's just going to be missed. And I just think they're not going to have an answer to Lev Bell. So I think this one, yes, pretty easy for me. I think the Steelers have been looking better the last few weeks. I think they can handle them.
Yeah.
Dan?
That's without question. It's the Steelers. They've got the cheat codes on.
Fair enough. We've got the easy sweep there. And then Monday night, a big game. Which team can stop the slide? 2 weeks ago, we were all hyper on these teams. And
I still am for the Chiefs.
Still big on the Chiefs, me. The Broncos, though, that hype train seems to have slowed right on down.
They've got no offense.
I think this game is pretty simple to look at, really. Broncos O-line is really struggling. Their O-line's been... They can't protect Simeon at all. Chiefs have done a great job rushing the passer. And we've seen when Simeon is under duress that it doesn't go well for the Broncos team at all. And the thing is, the Broncos D, you've still got to look at them as a top unit, but they are sliding and they are giving up plays. And
I saw a lot of criticism of Simeon last week, and I can see some of it because he does make some boneheaded decisions under pressure. But I was looking at the guys that were on that offense, and he's got a bad O-line. He had Demaryius Thomas, but with Emmanuel Sanders out and no run game, there's just not a lot of options there. And he was that O-line has just been really, really poor. Whereas the Chiefs, they played well. They lost that game against the Raiders, but they defensively some concerns the last couple of weeks. The pass rush hasn't been as effective, but I think they'll be able to bounce back, especially in the pass rush department against these guys.
The secondary is the concerning part for me. They gave up a big chunk of yardage. And
they did. They got torn apart. And if the pass rush isn't there, I think you can get at them. However, this Chiefs team's still quite good. I don't think they're going to blow this team out because defensively, the Broncos are still one of the best in the league. But I just think the Chiefs will have enough offense to win this game, and they're at home.
Yeah, I'd agree on that one.
So we all on the Chiefs?
Oh, absolutely. I haven't picked against them at any point during the season yet.
That's fair. All right. Anything else anyone wants to mention before we finish this one up? Or we could go through the teams that are on the bye, actually. Just a quick thing. So we got both of your teams, actually. Do you want to give us a bit of an insight into how you're feeling about your teams at this stage?
Oh, that's easy. We're the Cardinals. Our quarterback's down. We have no O-line. Season's over. Hope for good draft pick.
Fair enough. So, tank. Arnie, I know you're not too happy with that performance. Bye's at the right time, though.
Yeah, bye's at the perfect time. Defensively, we're playing better. I know it was against the Browns, but defensively, there is some reason for hope there. Kevin Byard having himself a nice big game. Offensively, we need a kick up the arse. We need a spark to come in. Hopefully, we've got Corey Davis coming back. Hopefully, that's the spark that we need. It gives us the time to get healthy because we had players with nagging injuries and starting to go down. We had Delaney Walker go out with a calf injury in that game. We had DeMarco Murray's battling hamstring. We've got, obviously, Mariota is still not 100%. There are some injury issues there. We had Quinton Spain go out as well with an injury. So this is the time for us now to get healthy, come back off the bye, and then come out in that first drive and be explosive. Because the thing is, we just couldn't finish drives in that game.
Actually, yeah, on the Titans, actually, well, there's already rumours floating about, pretty substantial rumours about a coaching change in Nashville. I mean, I've got a report from CBS saying that Tennessee are considered like one of the golden, like number one coaching opportunities in the league right now. So you may get a head coach change.
The offensive struggles carry on this way because Malarkey has quite a big influence on the offensive playbook. Malarkey even said this week he's going to address the coaching situation soon, and if this doesn't change, there will be changes. So he has addressed it already. I think we'll see a change in the offensive coordinator. If it still continues to struggle, then I think that's when Malarkey will either get told to not interfere in the offensive game plan, or he will be fired himself.
I just think that if this team doesn't make the playoffs, I think ownership makes that change. Simply, this team was expected to be a lot better than they've been. Coaching looks like it's a big part of their struggles. And also, division is as there for the taking as it could possibly have been. I mean, beyond the Titans' own performance, everything has gone perfectly for them this year.
Yeah, I mean, we've managed to. The record obviously doesn't show how
we're top of the division
playing. Yeah, we're top of the division. I mean, we're winning games that we should be winning, but just about winning them. The Miami game, you can probably say if Mariota was in that game, we probably would have won that game as well. But
I don't know if you can even necessarily say that.
The way he's been playing, I don't know. But I haven't got a lot of it down to the actual people, the guys executing the plays. I've got all of it down, well, the majority of it down to the coaching. I just don't think the coaching has been great this year. I think the play calling has been awful. And I just think it's washed up play that it's not working. We're playing the same 15 plays a game.
Also, let's not forget, Malarkey's not actually a head coach. He's on he's not on head coach money. No, I mean proper. I mean like Bruce Arians head coaching, not whatever he's doing. But I agree with Conboy here. If the Titans, lay an egg and don't make the playoffs, ownership changes the complete front office. Malarkey's gone. Offensive coordinator's gone.
Nah, they don't change front. They change the coaching staff. The front office.
Coaching staff's going to go first.
Yeah, they wouldn't change front office. Titans fans have been enjoying their front office and the fruits of their labour in the draft.
Oh, no, John Robinson is safe. John Robinson has done a hell of a job in Tennessee. The thing is, the talent is in Tennessee there. We've got the talent there. Okay, maybe not so much on defense, but the offensive side of the ball we do. It's down to the actual coaching staff themselves. The first guy to go will be the coach.
Yeah, be better as well. I mean, we look at the other teams on the bye this week. So we've got the Jags. I mean, we still know what this team is. They're a very good defence with a great running back. And, Bortles looked all right this weekend. It's just, can you trust him down the stretch? Like, he's going to lose you games at some point.
I think the fact that week to week you have to point out that Bortles played okay says everything you need to say about him to keep
He's had a couple of stinkers, but, as long as he doesn't have to throw the ball very much, this team's, that means their game plan's working, basically.
Although, actually, I like to point out, there's probably nothing to this, but there is a strong trade rumour that the Jags are going to trade for Eli Manning, which I find hilarious.
Just cannot see that.
I can't see it happening.
But who else is on the bye this week? The Giants. Yeah, the Giants are just done.
Green Bay.
Yeah, they've just been awful.
Yeah, Giants' defense has been played well last week against Seahawks, so no offense.
Yeah, defensively they're playing better, but the offense is obviously getting worse with the injuries.
No, I'd say the offense has actually improved. It's just the injuries at receiver have hurt them. The line's playing better, and they've actually got a little bit of a run game now. It's just there's no explosion there. Who else have we got? Yeah, the Browns. I mean, the question then is, are they going to win a game? They've got to go with Cody
Browns
Kessler.
are playing.
They are playing.
The Rams.
Go with Cody Kessler. The Rams and the Cardinals. Things are all looking great for the Rams. That was a. I mean, it was a very simple win in the end after Palmer's injury, but they're looking pretty sharp. The Cardinals, we mentioned, they're a mess. There's one more team, I think.
Green Bay.
Well, Dan already gave away his opinion earlier that they're done. I don't know if it depends what we see from Huntley in the next few weeks. I mean,
Huntley looked pretty good to start the game, and then he just couldn't get anything going after that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to find a way to get the ball to Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, and I think he will learn that. He will learn that. I wouldn't say they're completely done yet. It all depends on how Huntley plays.
At least we finally get to answer one question though. We finally get to answer the question of, is Jordy Nelson a legit wide receiver without Aaron Rodgers?
I still think he is.
Oh no, I think he probably is as well, but it'll be interesting to see.
The question is how many targets we see him getting. He needs the opportunities, and Huntley just looked a bit confused for a lot of this game, frankly, in the pass game. I like what he did as a runner, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a shame for the Packers in a way, because I think defensively they're a lot better than they were last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they can actually stop teams this year.
Yeah, and that feels like I say feels. There's a game that you'd have to think if Rodgers was there, they'd have probably won comfortably, because it just felt like the Saints kind of stumbled their way through until the fourth quarter.
It's also a shame, because I was quite looking to the shootout of this year, but nope.
I know. Breeze and Rodgers is a great matchup.
It also means we're not going to get the Rodgers Brady Super Bowl. Man, that would be so good to see.
We may never see that game.
That'd be so good.
Darn shame. It's kind of is the Super Bowl that the world wants.
Yeah, it'd be the highest scoring Super Bowl of all time. It'd be close to like 100 points.
Based on the way these two offense and defense are playing this year, yeah.
50 apiece.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Always fun to do these. Next week, we're going to probably do an additional episode, I think, a mid-season review. I think that would be fair. Go through some of our favourite players of the season, that kind of thing.
Oh,
Most
actually,
disappointing teams, that kind of stuff.
I'll bring this up in the midway thing actually, but one final point. We have officially seen the greatest moment in NFL history this week with
Oh.
the Pittsburgh touchdown celebration of
Oh,
hide
that
and
was
seek.
celebration of the yeah.
No.
that was
It was the greatest moment in NFL history. It was amazing. The dedication to playing that all the way out. It was amazing.
The hide and seek.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
hide and seek.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just can't top that fumble.
No, you can't.
It's got its
That
own
would
with
be my greatest moment.
I don't know. It was choreographed so well though.
It was great. Definitely, we'll talk about that next week's best celebration of the season. Bit of a spoiler, that's probably our winner, barring someone doing something spectacular this weekend.
Odell Peterman was pretty cool.
Oh, the dog peeing.
Yeah, I like that one.
Simplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that. I think that'll be a good episode, as well as the usual stuff. As ever, like, share, subscribe, check out the other stuff. We've got the reviews, the previews. Arnie apologises for the lack of Titans talk yesterday, but he was in a bit of a bad mood after that performance. So that's.
I will get it rolling again in a couple of weeks' time when we're playing again. But that was the one time we've won a game, and I haven't felt like we should have won. Or
Oh, you're not the only one.
It's a game that you feel you should have lost. It's a really good feeling in a way, but it's just the nature of it was the Browns.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Titans fans are like the angriest fans I've ever seen on the interwebs.
Yeah, I know. It's impressive. So, as always, like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and watch some more of the show. Thanks for watching again. Always appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. Have a great week. Go Bucks.